Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Johanna Dahlman here with Alopecia Angel. I wanted to talk about today scams and how to avoid them so you can save time and money in terms of healing your alopecia. By the time and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to spot the 5 red flags that separate legitimate alopecia help to those that are scams. And let's go ahead and define what a scam is. They are products, companies, organizations that omit information, that want you to be forever using their products, that sell you something, market to you, and don't provide results, or worse, provide actually more hair loss. And trust me, once you start to see these patterns, you'll never fall for them again. And this is why I developed my framework, Hair and Heal program, so that you can heal and reverse your alopecia naturally without all the fluff, nonsense, marketing gimmicks, or anything else. It cuts through the chase right straight to you so that you can see hair growth in less time. So, when I was dealing with my own alopecia, I had alopecia areata, for those of you who don't know. I struggled with it for many years, and I can relate to everyone, especially to all my clients who have seen multiple people, multiple practitioners who've tried all the things, whether it was at Target or at, the grocery store or at the pharmacy or anything else. They've tried it all, and maybe they went so far as I did to see doctors in different states, in different countries, and still nothing. And I fell for some of these quote unquote scams. But let's go back to the scam situation. It's a situation that doesn't give you the results and how you want it. It doesn't give you the permanent results how you want it. Meaning, I wanted a natural way. I wanted something that would work, that would bring back my hair, and of course, that wouldn't cause any other issues to my health. If anything, it would upgrade it. And that's what I got. But I got it through a lot of trial and error. I got it through seeing the many practitioners and people who could help me who really didn't help me. And, this is how I forged my own way. So here I tell you now how to decipher and how to have an expert eye so that you can avoid the same pitfalls that I went through. This will save you tons of money and time. And of course, heartbreak when it comes to your own hair loss. And that's exactly why I want to share this with you today, because the alopecia industry is unfortunately full of people who prey on desperation, who prey on a problem like hair loss, and they want to feed us hope. They want to feed us possibilities, and it's not always true. And there's always a fine print that goes along with this. But the good news is that legitimate help does exist. And depending on what your own criteria is, it can also benefit and work for you in the same way or better. You just need to know how to tell the difference between one option and another option. And it's just like anything. If I were to simplify this, it's just like picking out the best ice cream in the store. There's a bazillion options at the supermarket, but which one is best? And it goes by taste, it goes by preference, it goes by flavors, it goes by certain criterias. Maybe for some it's ingredients, maybe for others it's depending on their diet, maybe for others it's, there's caveats to everyone and to how people perceive what a quote unquote scam is. And at the end of it, it shouldn't rely on a product. So for example, the first red flag you need to understand is that there's no product, pill, potion, lotion out there that will heal hair loss for everybody in the same way, manner, shape, or form. So even if it's FDA approved, which kind of really means nothing, that doesn't mean it doesn't have side effects. That doesn't mean it can stop working. That doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. That doesn't mean it doesn't have chemicals, it doesn't have toxins, or it can create more hair loss later. And so whether it's minoxidil, Rogaine, whether it's a supplement, a serum, a lotion potion, a product of any sort, understand that more than likely it will not guarantee nor give you the results you're looking for, especially if it's autoimmune. If it's autoimmune, forget about it. Really just avoid it, because no product is going to bring back your alopecia autoimmune type healing as it should, because it's beyond the scalp. The situation with hair loss is much more beyond the scalp. If your situation is something else, maybe it's postpartum, maybe it's female pattern baldness, maybe it's just, telogen effluvium, maybe one product or two could work. I've had clients where they tell me that their timeline of hair loss has spanned over decades, 10, 20 years plus. And it's not because they weren't doing anything. It's because they were trying all these products. And these products would work, but maybe only for 2 months. And then they'd be back to the same loop of more hair loss. And these are clients with different types of hair loss, not autoimmune. Autoimmune, you have to look at this in a different way. But when it comes to just, let's say, regular hair loss, where it's just normal shedding all over, or whether it's postpartum or stress induced, or whether it's thyroid hormones, etc. The thing is, in my perspective, you have to always look at the root causes. But what these products are aiming to do is to help everybody the same. But we're not all the same. Therefore, this is why you are playing whack-a-mole. You're trying one thing and then another and another and another. And none of these things are working for you. And it's because you haven't gotten to the root causes. But this is why I'm saying all products on the market, to me personally, are scams in it of themselves, because there's no way it's going to help everybody in the same way, fashion, for forever, or for just a one time. Like you take the pill and, the allergies clear up or the headache clears up. But for hair loss, it won't clear up for everybody the same way. And so to me, all products on the shelf right now on the market are not worth your time or money. For me as well, medications are not worth your time and money. Why? Because they come with side effects, but so do the other hair products as well. Whether or not you can correlate them, whether or not you can see that there's an actual causation with one to the other, but there's risks with every sort of product out there. There's risks to medications, and there's numerous side effects. A lot of these alopecia medications come with black box warnings, hinder other aspects of your health, including fertility for both men and women. This is the reason why I stayed away from medications, because I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to have healthy children without having to deal with like one more thing later on in life. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it was the natural route or bust. And I was very adamant about that. So if you're like me, potentially what I'm going to tell you will resonate. For those of you who are okay with medications, who are okay with side effects, who are okay with things stopping all of a sudden, backlashing on you, those are some other routes you can do. For those of you who just want to continue to try the easy way out with a product, a pill, a potion, a lotion, go for it. Continue to waste your time and money. But I'm telling you right now, all the products on the market right now, absolute fraud. Because they're not looking at you. They're not asking questions. They're not looking at your root causes. When it comes to medications, the same thing. They're actually disrupting your health, your overall health, in order to get to hair growth. And for many, these JAK inhibitors, these alopecia medications are so costly. Healthcare doesn't cover them for the majority of people. And it's $6,000, $9,000, $15,000 on average out of pocket per month. That's extraordinary. But I got to tell you, there's another option. But let's go back to the whole scam situation. So that's red flag number one, right? It's this miracle cure language that this will work for everybody. And in many ways you're thinking, but wait, Johanna, you too have a program and you too say that this can work for everybody. I'll get into that in a second. But let's just say in general, right now, we're looking at products. Products, pills, lotions, potions, hair, skin supplements, all the things. and it's only targeting one thing, the scalp or maybe nutritional deficiencies. But from what I've seen from my clients and even from my own experience is that you need another thing and another thing and another thing. And it keeps you on this hamster wheel of trying and trying and trying and trying because, again, we haven't gotten to the root causes. So this miracle cure language is part of that. So you want to be very cautious with these things because, again, it's just a waste of time and money. And then at the end of it, you're going to have a bathroom full of products that you're no longer going to want or use. A lot of times products actually cause hair loss as too. I have a free PDF on my website at alopecia-𝐬𝐬𝐿.com because there are products like hair products, regular shampoo, regular conditioners, regular mousse, gels, etc., that actually are in lawsuits that cause hair loss directly. I have that on my website. You can download that for free on the homepage. So the real healing process that respects your body's natural timeline is what you're wanting to look at. I had someone tell me their supplement would regrow their hair back in 2 weeks, but I will tell you that's not how follicles work. And I will tell you that one supplement, one miracle supplement doesn't work for everybody. It may work for one person, 2 people, etc. But depending on the situation, it's not going to look all the same. And even if we all have the same type of hair loss, it's not going to work all the same because we're all so different. I say this because I've been working with people for over 10 years in 68 different countries. We're all so different. I myself have lived in 5 different countries, 5 different US states, and it all looks different. Even between state to state, it looks different. So these timelines you have to be wary of. Now, for example, inside my Hair and Heal program, I do see 90% people see hair growth in less than 8 weeks. 8 weeks is 2 months. That is a substantial amount of time. A lot of times people see hair growth in 2, 3, 4 weeks, and that is definitely possible too. But it's not through one pill, and it's not through one serum. It's not through a product or a medication. It's through a whole life transformation. And this is the real need here. You need to relook at and revisit all the aspects of health and really upgrade. So red flag number 2, before and after pictures that are potentially photoshopped or that are the same pictures over and over again. So for example, there's one person who I'm thinking about who she sells a program to heal and reverse hair loss, but she's using the same pictures over and over again. They haven't been updated in over many months and years. And also, a lot of these pictures are of themselves. So that's also a red flag where maybe she doesn't have a lot of clients, she doesn't have a lot of testimonials. And so to me, that's a red flag. My testimonials, you have before and after pictures, but you also have lots of video client interviews and testimonials that you can listen to on my podcast or on the YouTube channel. And so that's a staggering difference. And that's one thing that even working with doctors, none of them had to offer, none of them had to show. If you were to go to a plastic surgeon and say, oh, I want a tummy tuck, or I want breast implants, or I want, my eyelid surgery, or I want a facelift or anything else, they would give you numerous before and afters so that you can feel confident that they can give you the same type of reassurance for you, right? Again, whether it's a tummy tuck, a chin jaw lift, whatever it is. But regular doctors don't do that. No dermatologist does that. No trichologist does that. And so this is where I feel weary. Like, sure, maybe you have the schooling of what follicles look like, the hair growth and all this. But if you're only providing medications, we also have a gap because I don't want medications. I don't know about you, but I personally never wanted them. And so this is also the thing that to me, that's a red flag. And so I also want to see, have you healed somebody naturally the way I want to be healed with my type of hair loss? And if so, show me before and after pictures, and show me video client testimonials. That's what I would be pushing for. So another red flag to this is also the one-size-fits-all solutions. This actually goes back to the products, to the potions, lotions, serums. This also goes back to even functional medicine doctors who are pushing their own supplements, who are pushing their own type of regime and maybe using the same protocol for everybody. And I got wiser as I went along, and I started interviewing functional medicine doctors over the phone. And I started seeing, okay, how can I do this? Or how can I do that? And when I would hear them just kind of like fumble over their words, I was like, okay, you're not the one for me. Thank you. Done. And so we were done real quick when they couldn't explain, or maybe they just weren't focused. But what I later learned is that the functional medicine certificate is like a $12,000 certificate that most any practitioner can get. And essentially, you can be a general doctor or even a dentist or a chiropractor and get this designation. But that doesn't mean that you focus on alopecia. That doesn't mean that you have experience healing and reversing alopecia. That doesn't mean that you can, find a natural way for me to get to my end result. And so even with a functional medicine certificate or credential, I still look at people just for who they are. Who are you? What's your background? Do you have experience in this? Where's your expertise? I want to dig deeper. Have you always been working in this field? Where did you come from? Where's this mindset? Do you have proof? So these are some of the things that I start looking for and I start questioning. And a lot of times too, you want to be weary because sometimes as consumers, we're taken in by the marketing, we're taken in by, credentials, we're taken in by so many things, but at the reality and at the end of it, we want results. We just want results. And as someone who's gone through alopecia myself, I wanted results. I was desperate for results, and I would have done anything. I would have eaten frog legs. I would have gone to the ends of the earth, and I kind of did. But at the same time, I also have the results, not just in me, but in my clients to show for. So huge distinction there. So you want to look at, pictures that are stolen, pictures that are maybe photoshopped, edited with AI. But then also beyond the pictures, also look, is this the same person who's, hosting or showcasing their proof? For example, going back to that one example, the lady is only showing her own pictures because she doesn't have any clients or doesn't have any clients with pictures and testimonials. And so she only showcases her pictures. To me, that's a red flag. And so I showcase my pictures, but it's not just me. I have so many more children, men, women of all ages and races. I also have video and client testimonials. And to me, that's huge because these are people speaking of their experience, of their hair growth, of the changes, of the transformation, because it's beyond hair growth. It's really, they're upgrading their health in all areas. So anything that's a one size fits all, I would say discard it. Very much discard it. If you're not being evaluated, if you're not taking into consideration what you're eating, your diet, your lifestyle is, what your habits are, what your cycle is, what your goals are. Some clients come to me and they want to get pregnant. They want to heal their alopecia and, get pregnant. They want to heal their first, second, third autoimmune disease. They want to do more than just get their hair back. They want so much more. And so this is also part of it. So true healing addresses your specific triggers, your specific blind spots, your diet, your lifestyle, evaluates you for who you are, and doesn't categorize you. Because whether you have alopecia areata, totalis, universalis, scarring alopecia, female pattern, or a different type, there's so much more to you and to the whole situation than just your hair loss type, if that helps and makes sense. So even if they claim to be personalized, watch out for the manipulation tactic. Like, how is it personalized? Like, dig deeper. How is it personalized? Do they offer testing? That's another thing. Do they offer testing? And it's not just regular testing. Anyone can do regular testing, but it's really, do they offer gold standard functional medicine testing? That's the key. We offer DNA testing as well, because with that DNA test, you can see so much and you can learn so much. And in podcast episode 219 and in 215, I talk about DNA testing, genetics, and what that looks like. But then also, I'm also talking about my own results and how I could have avoided completely this alopecia areata diagnosis had I had these DNA test results when I was 10 years old, but the technology wasn't there. So we need to embrace the technology today. The other thing is, where are they with their research? I'm consider myself a research rat, and I pride myself in the research because this is what I do. I'm obsessed about hair growth, hair loss, and helping people. I really am. And so where are they in their research? What I found in my own experience was I was dealing with doctors who, yes, were doctors, but they graduated 30, 40 years ago. And guess what? They were also talking to me and guiding themselves with education from 30, 40 years ago, not from today. And I found that in Europe across the board. And I found that to be true in the US as well, where a lot of doctors don't update their research, don't update what they're learning. They're just using the information that they've had for years, and they're not on top of their game. And to me, I want somebody that I work with on top of their game, who knows the system in and out, who knows the latest research, who's on top of it, and who will help me and guide me to that next step, and really to the final finish line. That's what I want. And I didn't get that. I had to do that on my own. You know, there's pros and cons to all of it, but at the same time, if you want to reduce the time spent on healing your alopecia and on the money spent aspect, go with somebody who knows, go with somebody who has a proven formula where it's personalized, where it's tailored to each person, where potentially they've gone and lived through it themselves, where they've gone on to help others, just like I have, where they have the video testimonials, where they're not pushing products, they're not pushing their own supplements. That was another thing I found. Functional medicine doctors were pushing their own Dr. Sam Smith, you know, Dr. John Doe supplements, whether, you know, whatever it was. And so this is the thing. It's like, I started questioning, like, why do you have your own supplements? And well, it's because it's an extra revenue source. So yes, it's a business. Healthcare is an absolute business. Pharmaceuticals are $1 trillion business. The beauty industry is a multi-million-dollar business. And so this is it, is that it's all a business, and they're all trying to grab you from one end to the other, whether it's the laser caps, whether it's the red light therapy, whether it's the sauna, whether it's the hair, nail, skin supplement, whether it's the Nutrafol, Viviscal, Monat shampoo, Nioxin, Minoxidil, Rogaine, you name it. They're all trying at different angles to grab your attention, and tell you that their product works. And I'm telling you right now, it's not one product. You are unique, and we need to pull apart exactly how this is working for you and how it's not working for you. And we need to put in puzzle pieces, because healing alopecia is like one big 1,000-piece puzzle. Once you start putting in all the puzzle pieces, then you can see the hair grow, come back, and the health come back. And this is why I've been in remission for over 10 years. So yes, true healing addresses all of you, your nuances, your allergies, your aversions, your specialty diets, your all of the things that make you you. So I wanted to quickly mention that I am hosting a live free 3-part training series that starts this week, June 4th, 2026. And I'm inviting you to join. This is where I'm going to show you exactly how to heal and reverse alopecia naturally using the same framework I and thousands of my clients have used in over 68 countries to heal and reverse alopecia once and for all. So the other red flag that I would say would be high pressure sales tactics, you know, and so there would be all these BOGO deals, buy one, get one free, or 50% off deal right now to join, or to do this or to do that, or limited time offer. Yes, these are all creating urgency, but at the same time, look beyond the urgency. Yes, there is an urgency for you to heal. And I would say, honestly, yes, the sooner the better for any type of hair loss, because it's only going to get worse. Waiting is not a strategy. However, you need to also look, are people offering me a product? If it is, okay, done. Are they offering a medication? If it is, okay, done. Are people offering me some sort of serum? If it is, done. This is not an option. And so really go through exactly what that looks like. And even when people are offering programs, because I myself offer a program, it's called the Hair and Heal program. And this is where we evaluate you, everything's customized to you. And this is where we see 90% see hair growth in less than 8 weeks. And 8 weeks, as I mentioned, is a substantial amount of time. And then from there, it just keeps going. But if you're completely bald, yes, you can see hair growth in less than 8 weeks, but then it's going to take you around 6 months on average to get a full buzz cut or pixie cut. And so also understanding there are realistic timelines for this to happen. The other thing too is that a lot of times the solutions to your alopecia potentially come from uncovering them with testing. So if the person is offering you a program and no testing, I would keep walking. I would keep going. And do they have a team? For example, I have a full team. I have practitioners on my team. I have a full team to do the testing, to do the next step protocols, and really anything else that you're going through. For example, I've had clients who come to me in breast cancer remission. I also have contacts for them, for people who've healed and reversed and who help people heal and reverse breast cancer naturally. And so this is one of the nice things about working with me, is that all my friends are top-notch people in their industries and in their categories, right? Not every doctor focuses only on colon cancer. Not every doctor only focuses on, gynecology or, pediatrics. They also focus on their own niche. And so that's the other thing I would want to really focus in. Are they focusing on the type of hair loss that you have? And do they also have testimonials from people with the type of hair loss that you have? That's the other caveat to all this. The other thing I would want you to slow down and look at is this science-backed? Is there research? Is it biology based? For example, in my program, everything is biology based. Everything is science backed. And so the more we do, the better it is. And what I would also tell you is that it's not just doing the program or bust. It's really about how you implement the program. So yes, I offer a service, but this service needs to be implemented. So for example, personal trainers offer a service. But guess what? The personal trainer can't do the push-ups for you. They can't drink the water. They can't do the diet for you. They can't run for you. I wish they could, but they can't. And they can't, lift heavy, and they can't do all the things that are needed in order to build the body that you want with the personal trainer. I've had a personal trainer after I gave birth at 40. I had gained 50 pounds, and I lost those 50 pounds in 6 to 9 months, somewhere in there, with my personal trainer. So the thing is that this program, my Hair and Heal program, works like that. I'm your personal trainer, and there's an action step. There's an active participant requirement from you in order to see results. And so understand that this is why no product, no serum, no lotion, no potion, no medication will give you long-lasting hair growth for the rest of your life with 0 side effects. Tailoring everything to you, because it's a one-size-fits-all. But when you tailor the program, for example, with a personal trainer or with me, you get that personalized effect. And this is how you're able to see the hair growth and the health just emerge, because your body wants to heal. Your body wants to flourish. It wants to thrive. We just need to support it. And so one thing I would say to look at, is there information in depth? If it's just looking at diet, I would say move on and keep walking, because diet alone is not going to do this. Just like diet alone won't help most people lose weight. If you starve yourself, for sure, but most of us are not trying to starve ourselves. And even if we are, that also backfires because we have hormones. And so there's a direct correlation of how to do things and how not to do things. There's a strategic approach of how to do things well and rapidly and safely versus trying to do things with medications, for example, like Ozempic, which is now causing so many side effects beyond hair loss, but so many awful side effects. And you can listen more on my podcast about that. What real healing looks like. So it's a systematic, strategic approach to healing, addressing your root causes, evaluating your own personal diet and lifestyle, and adjusting and tweaking and modifying so that you can thrive and see that hair growth and health emerge. When we do this in a strategic approach, we're looking at all the factors, that contribute to hair loss, not just scalp, not just hormones, not just thyroid, not just diet, all of it, all the things. And there's just so much to talk about. And this is why I have the free training, because it's literally 3 days of training so that you can capture more information. The individual assessment is needed. You know, having targeted interventions, understanding the testing, and having those next steps protocols are so necessary and key to really getting all the information, the comprehensive, in-depth information that you need. And I will say that a lot of clients come to me and they've worked with naturopaths. They've worked with functional medicine doctors. They've worked with a lot of people, but still haven't seen results. Why is that? First off, it's probably the expertise. They probably have zero expertise in alopecia. You know, this is like having a Ford mechanic try to work on a Ferrari. Even though it's the same job title, it's still going to look different. And so there's a reason why Ferrari mechanics are paid more and, you know, have more schooling, because it's a different car, it's a different animal, it's a different intricacies and nuances to that versus a Ford. The other situation too is that a lot of times it's the testing that they offer. A lot of times it's not in depth. I find this a lot with my clients in Australia, in Canada, in the UK, in the Netherlands, in Germany, Sweden, and in so many other countries. One client in Estonia who I'm thinking about, where the testing isn't available to them. Or like me, living in the Netherlands, I was gate kept. They said, you have alopecia, there's nothing we can do. There's no testing available. There's nothing available to you. And that was it. That was my only option, living in the Netherlands. And as an American, you know, you can request and demand a lot of testing under insurance, and maybe they'll grant it and they'll give it to you. And for the most part, they will. But a lot of this testing is also superficial. It's not in depth. It's not comprehensive. And so this is why gold standard testing is different. It's in depth. It's comprehensive. It's really seeing so much that's available with that new technology that I'm talking about, including that DNA test. And this is why, for the most part, it's out of pocket. It's not covered by insurance. And so understanding the testing, also getting people to read it correctly and understand the clues that some testing gives. So for example, I had a client in Canada. He was working with this naturopathic doctor for 6 years, zero results. He had 2 different types of alopecia. He had autoimmune alopecia and the male pattern baldness. And he came to me after 6 years of working with this naturopath. In the first day that we started working together, I evaluated him and I saw so many things in his evaluation form. And I said, I suspect this, this, and this. I would say, let's get some testing done. I had even reviewed all his testing and I was like, it's pointing right here. This is a problem. And so these are things that his naturopath couldn't pick up because she didn't have the expertise or the knowledge or the know-how and even the correct testing. And so this is also part of the reason why we're working with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 providers and getting nowhere. A lot of it is their expertise, the opportunity to have the correct testing and to understand it and read it correctly. I have had clients in Dubai where they have something plain as day, marked in red on the results, and their doctors didn't think anything of it. And I knew that there was a direct correlation. And so it's these things that sometimes doctors make mistakes. They miss things. They're in a rush. They only have 7 to 15 minutes for you. There's a lot of factors as to why you're not getting the proper care. There are. It's not just one thing. But I will say, if it's anything in terms of products, medications, you already know. Don't waste your time and money. When it comes to working with a practitioner, there's a lot of questions you could be asking. You know, do you have the expertise? What type of testing do you offer? How many years have you been working with only alopecia? Did you have it yourself? You know, do you have proof? Do you have video client testimonials? You should be asking more questions. And even when it comes to fertility, because I've gone down that route as well. You know, there's so many things that people want to sell you. You know, you think the acupuncturist is going to do it, or the lady over here who's telling you to do all the testing, or maybe it's the IVF person, or maybe it's the clinic over here, or maybe it's this or that. There's so much when it comes to fertility. It's not just sperm and egg. It's not just hormones. It's not just the female. We also have the male too, right? And so what I'm trying to showcase here is that just like fertility is a big multi-piece puzzle, alopecia is too. And don't think just because it's very simple, it's a hair loss, this has to be simple, that you're going to find a simple solution. It's actually much more complex than what you're thinking. And this is why people are stuck in both fertility and in hair loss. They're stuck. I was stuck. I say this from experience. I say this because I got myself unstuck, but it took 4 years of lots of trial and error and lots of research and lots of understanding myself, because you need to be self-aware, but that's just it. Not all of us are self-aware. Not all of us see the spinach in our teeth. Do you know what I mean? And so you need somebody else to see that piece of spinach in your teeth so that they can point it out. And then also there's the other side of this where you don't know what you don't know. You're not the expert in hair loss, are you? And so what you don't know is also holding you back from getting the help you want. Let me end with another quick story. So I had a client, she's from Australia. She's a gut health coach. And I'm sure you've heard where gut health has a lot to do with hair, has a lot to do with a lot of health areas that we want to improve. Gut health is also our second immune system. There's a lot to gut health, but it's not everything. Just like diet. Diet is not everything. There's a lot to it, but it's not everything. She's a gut health coach. She's been doing it for over 20 years. She has long, beautiful hair. She's in her 60s. She's had hair loss for over 20 years. Incessant hair loss for 20 years. In 24 hours, her hair loss stopped. She didn't see hair growth in 24 hours, but her hair loss stopped. And so that's the other side of the story. Can we stop your hair growth in less time? Because literally sometimes we have these minor blind spots. And in her, it was in many things that she was doing and living and eating that I could pick apart in just this intake form that we have. It's 12 pages and boom, she was traveling. And I was like, Maria, stop doing this. And in 24 hours, her hair loss stopped. So now then you pivot and you're like, okay, from hair loss, now I can focus on the hair growth, because if you're having hair loss, you need to focus on that to be able to focus on the hair growth. Does that make sense? You need to do one, then the other. And so this is the beauty of understanding our blind spots, where we're going wrong. Because I will say the internet is filled with misinformation, and the internet is filled with all these things that you should be doing, but in reality, it's just making things worse. And it could be making things worse for you, unbeknownst to you. And so this is the problem that I see a lot of times, is that everyone's on the bandwagon with one thing or another, or with one natural approach, whether it's the onion juice or some celery diet cleanse or this or that, and it's just making it all worse. So that's trying just to plug a hole into a bucket that has more holes in it, and that's not making anything better. So this is why getting evaluated, getting a strategy in place, having a step-by-step approach is the best and most effective way to stop the hair loss and get your hair growing once and for all. And then on top of that, you get to understand where you've been wrong, where you've been going wrong, so that you can stop the madness and then never have to deal with it again. I had alopecia areata, lost over 50% of my hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, extra inch of forehead, and I've been 10 years in remission now. And that's even after a pregnancy at 40, after COVID, stressful times, all the things. And yet the hair is still here. And this is what I want for you too. So in conclusion, I would say first step for you is to subscribe to my page to be updated with more information about healing alopecia, about all the pitfalls to avoid, but then also come join me in the live training that starts next week, June 4th, 2026. It's a free 3-part free training so that you and your loved one can come and see and understand a little bit more of this framework, how it helps you, and then what to avoid, the myths, misconceptions, and really how to be even more knowledgeable and more on top of your game so that you can get to results in less time. Thanks so much. Take care.